That beat never gets old.
It never gets old. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Perspective. Doc, how you doing on this beautiful Thursday?
I am doing well.
All
Doing
right.
well. Blessed to
Yeah.
be here.
And to everyone who's watching, we sending out good vibes to you. So, welcome to Perspective. And for those of you that this may be your first time viewing us or joining us, you may run across your mind. What is perspective and what we're about, and it can be found right there in the name. Perspective. This is a safe place, a safe tree, if you will, where we can come and have safe and adult discussions about differences that we may have. And what we often find that we may be on the opposite sides of different opinions, different points of views, lived experiences, beliefs, and the alike. However, if we slow down and we take a look, we'll find that we may be on the opposite ends of those forementioned, right? But just because that we're on the opposite ends doesn't mean that they're correct and you're wrong, or that you're right and they're wrong. It simply means those aforementioned are different. And when we can discuss our differences, with respect, in a good setting, we'll come to often find that we have more in common than not. And when we discover that, that brings us close together as individuals, which will ultimately bring us closer together as a community, and then wholly brings us closer together as a world. And that is what we aim to do here on Perspective. With that being said, I am Eric Butler, aka the Intellect, aka the Cullinan A, because I am the biggest diamond ever found on land. I am 3,000 plus carats, y'all, aka the Atlantic, because I am cold, deep, and choppy. And there ain't nothing nobody can do about it. My background is in talent acquisitions and staffing. I've done that for about 2 decades. That has afforded me the opportunity to kind of move into career coaching, ultimately out in the community, serving with financial literacy nonprofit called the Empower Series. So definitely go to our YouTube channel. Also go to www.empowerseries.com and check that out. And then ultimately, this has led me, my path has led me to this spot right here, next to one of the dopest individuals I know. They are sharp and safe all at the same time. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. She is dual threat, I would say. So I'm going to pass the mic over to my illustrious co-host and let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Latoya, aka Chef Jeff's wife, aka Them Kids Mama. Chef Jeff also has a show on the BS3 network. The name of his show is This Dope Cooking Show. It airs on Tuesdays at 5:30. Now, when you watch it, tell him I sent you, but also be prepared to be hungry because I don't know. Either you're gonna have to cook with him or you're gonna have to eat while you're watching the show. You're gonna want to eat. The food is delicious. Anyway, I am a licensed professional counselor, an author, a speaker, and I also have a audio only podcast called Say More About That. It airs on all the like streaming sites. So Spotify, Apple, Google, all the things. Um, Listen, we are family here at Perspective, right? Because we've been doing this for over a year. So I just want to keep it
Hmm.
real with y'all. Your girl is tired, okay? I had surgery on Monday, but in the effort to be consistent and push through, like I tell my clients to do, we here. We're gonna give you a hot 30, smooth 45, maybe, and then we're gonna ride on up out of this thing, okay? Because I've been getting winded and I'm tired.
I
But we are
got you.
here.
We got you, Doc. Doc, man,
Let me give you a
salutes to you.
disclaimer though, because before we get
Yeah,
going,
yeah, can't
disclaimer.
miss that one though.
Come on. I am a therapist, not your therapist, unless we have paperwork and a payment method in place. Eric and I will be speaking from our own lived experiences, education, conversations we've had, our own, dare I say, perspective. So we are not talking about our current everyday lives unless we say currently in our everyday life. Also, no one called us before the show and told us your business. So just relax. We don't know personally. Just take the advice, okay? We also know that your sister's cousin homegirl had the same situation and it worked out well for her. We love her, but we're not talking about her. We are talking from a broader perspective.
Boom. And that's that.
That's the
That's the
disclaimer.
facts. Okay, let me stop. I was about to
Here we
get into
go.
it. So, if they hadn't been paying attention or taking a look, Uh, did you pull something up, Doc? I can't.
I
Oh,
did the comments.
yeah, yeah. Hey, good evening to you. Good evening to you. Um, Mr. Jay Gilliard hit the stage. Hey, what's up, folks? Hey, what's up to you, Mr. Jay Gilliard? Dope Cooking Show, Tuesdays, 5:30. Go get that. Filet mignon. Filet
Okay.
mignon.
What you always be saying, them salmon Phillies. That's
Man, come on. Why you bring up that? That's me. Now I gotta work my way and be okay with it. Hey, it was a salmon Philly. All I'm gonna say is, it was the real deal. Mr. Jagelia says, "Welcome to the comment section." He is welcoming you all. We're gonna let y'all.
Did you see this one from BS3 Network?
Yeah, I said, "Oh,
Oh,
good evening" from BS3 Network. Yeah, absolutely. I said,
okay,
"Good
cool,
evening."
cool, cool.
Yeah, and then hey, make sure you go and check out the other shows on the BS3 Network, and give it the support. I promise you, it would be going in the right direction to the right type of organization, and I mean that sincerely. All right,
All right, let's
Doc,
let's get into it. Let me
let's
give you
get
the best
into it.
that I got. Giving you the best that I got.
All right, baby. I can't. Ain't she ain't got no background. I'll do my best. But so okay, good Doc. Go ahead and kind of take the lead. I know you had talked about a certain something, a little sprinkle.
Okay, so we were having a conversation about everything not being trauma. And so one thing that I pride myself on is not spreading misinformation. Like I never want
Mhm.
my definitions and stuff to be off. I don't want that because I know a lot of people take what I say and they just run with it. So I always try to make sure like I'm up to par. So I was telling Eric, I was like, hey, my working definition, I need to check it because things have changed. And that brought us to Eric saying, well, hold on, because now I got to question the whole validity because things have changed. So, the way that we are able to diagnose people is through the DSM. The DSM, and I'm going to look over at my bookshelf, stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So, that we use this book to diagnose people. You have to meet a certain criteria. You don't just wake up and be like, oh, I don't like how they was talking to me, they narcissist. No, there's a criteria. And you really got to be careful because I can ask the questions in a way to get you to label however I want you to label because first
Wow,
of all, I'm smart. And
power.
then you also have to take in like cultural competency because what's accepted in some cultures isn't accepted in other cultures. And I know we always, rely heavily on black culture because that's the culture we're from. But if you think about some Eastern communities, they do things like cupping. And if you come over here to America with those bruises, they're gonna call DSF on you or DCS or whatever it's called wherever you live. They're gonna call Child Protective Services on you, but you can't do that because that's a part of their culture. So you got to take all of that into consideration, right? And so Eric, let me land this plane. Eric was like, "How many books y'all got, and why I keep changing it? Is it valid? How we know it's real?"
I mean, it just goes to questions, and a point. I was like, listen, people will receive treatment. Life decisions were made. People's lives were, significantly impacted. I'm not saying whether it was negative or positive, but it's impacted
Absolutely.
based off that information, the rulings and the diagnoses within it, and then to just come back and say, "Oh,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
we're changing. Yeah, that wasn't right. We're changing it." Wait a minute. We put James in at home, you know, and so now you're saying it wasn't that. It was really just really bad anxiety, and he's not.
Yeah,
I don't know why I had to act it out,
I
but
don't
I
even.
I would imagine people would come to that type of have that type of visceral response. But really, the most important, the thing that I just highlighted is, man, how impactful that is to lives, to different lives. And I don't want to say flippantly, but like nobody's held accountable for that, and
So
it
I don't
make
know that
me.
it's flippant,
I
but
don't. I'm just like, no. Hey, we found
I
out
don't
that's not
know.
right, and then we're changing it. Let's go.
So
But
I guess because I'm in the field, I see it both
yeah,
ways, right? Like on
okay.
the one hand, I see it like y'all had me labeling these people XYZ 1, 2, 3, and then that's not the case. And now these people are walking around with this label potentially acting it out. Because if you a real fan of the show, I tell people all the time, I don't even like to tell my clients their diagnosis, because for what you need the information for. But this is part of the reason why, because what happens when they do the DSM again and it changes, and maybe you don't have this, you have that. And so on the one hand, yes, it's kind of messed up, but on the other hand, we got to start somewhere. And isn't it better that we change it than to keep operating under false standards?
No, those are valid. Those are valid points. I mean, it doesn't take that kind of sunken place feeling out of my stomach a little bit, because you are right. There has to be some pathway. We have to have some, some a standard or a guidelines in some things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't just I don't want to throw the baby out with the bath water. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just, and I don't say I'm not saying, and I can't sit here and say, listen, I have the answer for that, but
Sure.
but naturally it just feels like there should be, it's a little bit more serious, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit more serious and too impactful, that it doesn't that it doesn't render a much more serious analysis or check process.
So it is a process. It is
Okay.
absolutely a process, right? So you got to think, these books don't, it's not like it's changing every year. And then I'm not even going to give you false information on how often it's changing. I will say that I have 3 on my shelf. And I graduated with my master's in 2010.
Did you grab it? She pearled.
Did. So within the last 15 years, there are 3 books. That's that's not a lot of time, but it's not a flippant amount of time.
3 books in 15. Every 5 years, somebody change. Things change.
But I don't know how long the gray one, which is the one that I had in my master's program, I don't know how long that one was around before the previous one. You know what I mean? Like,
I
I don't
got
have the dates, but I do know that I got 3 of them, and they're quite expensive. So, like, calm down with all these changes. Um, and it's a committee of people. It's not like one person. I'm not sure that the population of people who doing it is as diverse as it needs to be, but
you.
this is
See,
America.
I know that's what I'm saying. Those are
Um,
factors that,
yeah.
to me, would raise like, hmm, wait a minute. It's like that's too serious. That it's not. I think the accountability structure may be a little loose, in my opinion, because there's no way you should do that. You just well, obviously they're doing something, because if you learned within the DSM that culturally you can't apply things because you have to take that into consideration, obviously that's been approached, and so my previous statements would have been failed. No, so let me stop that. Mr. J. Gilliard said, is the DSM versions built of evidences of the previous DSM?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't really see, like, so if I'm looking at, okay, y'all, because y'all can't see them and I cannot get up and get these books. But
Right.
so there's a gray one, a purple one, and a blue one. The gray one is the first, the purple is next, and then the blue one. The jump from the gray one to the blue one is insane. But the jump from gray to purple, purple to blue is not crazy.
I can dig it.
You see what I'm saying?
I can dig that,
Yeah.
because
And it's
but
small
I
tweaks
guess
that
may go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's small tweaks that I don't know that it changes the way that I approach treatment. More so, it's like stuff I need to know on the back end. I don't know that I'm gonna change how I treat anxiety based on a symptom being added or taken out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But it does change all the time, actually.
No,
But I
100%.
also think that we're just figuring it out, right? Like, you got to think. So the therapy licensed professional counselor, like, we started from career counseling, right?
Okay.
So you got to think, like, people just figuring it out. And
Yeah.
there was
Well.
not
Yep.
enough weight put on culture, enough weight put on gender, enough weight put on socioeconomic status. Because sometimes, y'all, and I'll be honest, people don't be depressed, they be poor.
Oh yeah.
And if they just had a couple thou wow,
They'd
they'd
be
be
just
fine.
fine. Wait a minute.
But you walking
That's
around here with a label of depression, and people really just be poor.
now when you say that, if hopefully it ain't just me.
Mm,
It ain't. It can't be just me. But my thought is, I'm wondering, like, when you say, okay, they just poor. Is it the effects of being poor?
mm,
Well, yeah, because if you ain't got your basic needs being met, or it's a struggle just to,
poverty.
yeah, you're gonna be stressed out, and yeah.
And now that we have access to how the other half lives, you living in a cardboard box, these people living in a 20-bedroom house, you wondering why you ain't good enough to be over there. That's going to add to how you feel.
Hmm. And you know what's strange? No, I was about to. Yeah, I'm about to just try to fight you just for the sake of fighting you, because I mean,
Come on, let's do it.
because I mean, like, because there are people. Well, no, you said some, so I'm not. You didn't say it's this monolith. It's less like some. It ain't even real anxiety or
It's
something they need
poverty.
help with. Yeah.
Cause okay,
When you
let's just
go back and
say
see your
real
look on your
example.
face when you said it, that's what got me. She said poverty, like.
No, like, okay, think about you got, and we're gonna use very small numbers because math ain't my jam, but you got $500. Your rent is 400. The rest of your life costs more than $100. So yes, you are worried. Yes, you are irritable. Yes, you cannot sleep. Yes, you popping
And
off.
you know what?
Yes, you got muscle
And
tension.
nothing is going to
Nothing's gonna
solve
make
that
that better
unless
except money.
a few thou wow. And to quote Latoya,
me being like, okay, we're gonna practice mindfulness. We're
man,
gonna
can
meditate.
we practice money multiplication?
No,
Yeah,
for
we can.
real. Like sometimes it's not like, so
Man.
that, remember when I said earlier, like I can ask the questions to get what I want. So I'm gonna ask you like, hey, are you irritable? They like, yeah. Are you frustrated and you have like muscle tension? Yeah. You having difficulty sleeping? Yeah. And I'm running these symptoms. But if I never say, well, what's going on? Now, see, I'm nosy, so I'm always gonna say that. But if
Yeah.
nobody ever says, like, well, why? When did this start? What's happening? And we don't get to the fact that you only got $100 left for the month, I think you have anxiety. You don't have anxiety, you're poor.
You stress. That's just you gonna be, and you're gonna be that
And
until you
nothing
change
fixes
that.
that.
Yeah.
But here's the
So
other thing though, like it really do take money to make money. I don't know who said that, and I really hate that they said it because it's so true.
it's facts.
I mean, like even I can even think
Some
about
people can't even upgrade to go get any more money because they ain't got enough money to put
to get,
themselves in a position to go get some more money, whether that is
there you go.
educating yourself or getting a certification to increase it because you don't have the money to go get the extra knowledge that'll get you the extra money. And then on the flip side of that, you may not, I can't get a job at certain places because I can't get to that job. I don't have a efficient type of transportation, or I can't even pay for, oh, well, you got Lyft and Uber. Man, that is expensive.
And that cost.
Do you hear me?
As a person who be cashing out my kid for Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, like that's expensive.
Yes, it is. So you got these physical aspects of it, where you can't even increase your money. That's a real thing. That was a good call out right there,
But
though.
then here's the thing. So imagine being the person who got $100 left for the month, who can't do nothing to improve their circumstances. And then here I come and I say, are you angry? Do you feel sad? Sometimes do you feel hopeless? Do you feel like your appetite has decreased? Do you feel like you can't sleep? Well, yeah, they got all that. So according to this book, they got depression. But because I never asked an additional question, I did not take their cultural influences into impact or whatever. Like I didn't think about it. So I'm like, okay, major
Or
depression. I
economics.
didn't take
So
none of that into effect. So then I'm like, okay, depression, toodaloo. No, poor.
the real symptom. Let's cure the pain, the pain that causes the real pain, and then we'll be all right.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, sometimes, and it's really hard to be a therapist to a person who really is just poor. Like,
Because
you're never
there's
gonna
nothing
sleep
you're
at
gonna. Yeah,
night
there's nothing you can't do anything
because
about that.
And then if I say go to the psychiatrist, well, your insurance may not even cover that. You might got a copay, but you can't pay your copay because you ain't got no money. And then you can't get no medicine from the psychiatrist to feel better to alleviate some depression because you can't pay for it.
Well, let me ask you this: is it helpful for you maybe to say, "Hey, you're not depressed. You're you're broke, and you need to have
Oh,
a financial rehaul, and then you'll be better."
have we met? Because you know I do that.
I know you have. I would just
I be like,
you
listen,
not gonna see you one of them women that won't let you. I grab my own door. You won't even let me open the door for you. I was gonna just give me the ball. I go dunk. I'm gonna
okay,
throw the
there you
alley
go.
oop. No, just give me the ball. No, but go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I be like,
She said, "Do you know me?"
and I be thinking like when people be talking to me, because I really be like, okay, because I'm solution focused at heart. Like
Yes.
I am solution
That is a
focused.
fact, ladies and gentlemen.
Like
We did not
what we
just
gonna
drop.
do?
No, I'm finna lament for a second. This is great. She is solution based. No fodder, no nothing. And I'm
Yeah,
saying that because y'all, I'm just telling y'all what I've experienced. Solution based.
no,
But
for
go
real.
ahead, Doc.
Cause like
So I
what we
know it don't work, but I'm just talking about on other stuff too. Go ahead, Doc.
what are we gonna do? No,
I'm
so
sorry.
I just am like, you ain't never gonna sleep if you worried about how you gonna eat tomorrow.
Hmm.
You really can't sleep if you hungry. Like, so let's pull out the numbers. Like, where are you spending your money? Like, what do we have to cut off? Okay, you seeing me every week. Stop. Come see me once a month, once every other month.
That's wild because you didn't turn into a financial advisor.
And I'm
That's
not
what we talking
really,
about.
and I be very basic with them. Like to me, I be looking at it like calories in, calories out. You can't eat more calories than you burn, then you're gonna be fat, right? So
Yeah.
for them, it's like this how much you spending, this how much you got. What are we cutting? And so right now you don't have HBO. Like right now you get your homegirl Netflix to watch some TV. Like I don't know what we're getting creative,
But
but
you're gonna have to do
you got
something.
to do
But it's
something.
not gonna get better until that gets
Because
better.
how you gonna pay for the class to get the certification if you, yeah,
What in so some people are paying for services to help alleviate stress, but it's the paying for the service that's creating the stress.
sometimes it's
That
usually
was
not me. It's usually Uber Eats. It's usually Sheen. It's usually workout clothes. It's usually not
why you
me.
look why you look to the side when you
Cause you
said
know
workout
that's
clothes.
my Achilles heel, baby. I am gonna just I get so sick of myself. But yeah, and so I don't mind. Like I just know like God is gonna bless me and my family. And so making you keep
Yeah,
seeing
that's
me,
what's up.
knowing
Yeah.
you paying full price, knowing you ain't got no insurance, and I have it hit me that you stressed out because you ain't got no money. Girl, come see me next month. I post
Yeah.
enough content to get you through. Come see me
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I'm good. We all off topic though, but I think the point is, and you know, I always be like in a definition. The definition is like define your problem. That's the point of it all. People out here thinking they got trauma and depression, and it's always somebody trying to tell your business. That's why I be telling my own business.
It's and I listen. I got to give some life to it. It's
It
so
really,
many
it's so bad.
workout clothes.
It's
It's
so bad.
so many.
It's so bad.
That's how that was
I'm
said.
like low key embarrassed because I don't really even have nowhere to put them no more at this point.
Man,
Yeah.
if anybody that follows you, if they saw this, I said, I thought I'm like the stories on that though. Like the number of videos
The
and you
amount
see,
that I
yes,
have
and
thrown
I've
away.
seen you pour them out. I'm like, that's been 10 times I didn't seen a eight garment pour out. I said 8 times 5. Wow.
It,
You know what I'm saying?
it is
Who,
like
it's got
I'm
and I
almost
said, and I ain't
embarrassed.
seen every last one of them. I know.
I'm
So
almost embarrassed. It's that bad.
no, man, come on. You know, you got to let some stuff go to get some new stuff. You just
So
said the Most High gonna provide, so them need to be
he is.
donated. The older
I
ones, and
do.
then
I do.
okay,
Or I throw them away. It just I do rotate them out It's
Okay.
just it's a problem.
But Doc, we are gonna touch on this though. You know
Yeah,
what? We don't have to go over like everything is not a trauma. We can. I think we kind of did. We went somewhere else, but we can
totally.
do this, huh?
I said we totally went somewhere else, and then he like trying to just do too much.
Mr. J. Gilliam said
But let me
more
tell
coming
y'all the truth.
in
He
than
liked them because
going
he be
out.
like, "Oh, just keep them because you could just run to the store in those. I really like those." So it's not just me, guys. It's not just me.
She just like, I'm under the bus, but grab that
Come on,
ankle and
come on
drag
with
the road. Just said, see, somebody always putting your stuff out there, and then turned into the very
turned
thing.
into the somebody.
She said, watch me hold my beer. Watch me do it better.
Yeah. Hurt people, hurt people. I know what they be saying.
Mrs. Gates,
Then
you
at
said
least
fact.
at least he know.
Yeah, he said facts. He said, I am an enabler. All right, that's look, came to the rescue. You like, you ain't even got to pull me under the bus, baby. I climb right up under there with you.
No, for
And
real.
they are so like that. I'm serious, man. They dim. They dim, man. They my
I
people.
got a plan for these workout clothes though. It's all gonna pay off. Just you
Okay.
wait.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why
Because
we
one
talk.
day somebody's gonna say, "Hey, we want to pay you to wear our clothes,"
See, come
and
on.
I'm gonna say, "You know
Speak those
what?"
things as though they are.
And I'm
Because
gonna
you do
say,
a great job. I mean, you
"Listen,
really
I
making
do."
commercials in this Joker. I'd be like, did she just do the pop out? Oop, what's the change? And I say that's
I'd
so
be
much
like,
time.
"New outfit, new outfit." It is a lot of time. It's a lot of time and effort. But
uh,
soon, within the next 8 months, somebody's gonna say,
boom.
"Hey, we love your TikTok. We love it. We want you to wear our clothes exclusively." And
Because
I'm
I
gonna
know
say, "You
I,
know
I've,
what? I
I've
got you.
made some purchases based off of what you have put out there. That it is dang worked. It is worked. It's worked.
It's
I tell
coming.
them.
Just shy away."
Yep, they're gonna
But
wear it.
anyway, so we was talking about how everything is not trauma, and I think the biggest takeaway that I want people to understand is to make sure that you are working with a clear definition because things change. But what was you gonna go with that? We can go
No, that
there
was
too.
it. Yeah, because no, but here's some things because I want to make sure and focus on the trauma. I know we talked about the changes in the diagnosis and the impact that has and how I feel about that. And then we went off into the La La Land
The
about all kind of
sunset.
stuff and TikToks and whatnot. But if we're going to talk about the topic of labeling and everything is not trauma, because we know we hear that a lot, and it's so sad how things that are, is it important? Yes. Is it real? Is it significant? 100%. But you know, if I drop my coffee this morning, is that trauma or just
No,
an unfortunate,
it was an
happenstance?
inconvenience. Let's talk about what
So
a trauma is. Let's
okay,
do that.
so we what we're gonna do? We'll define it, Doc. Now my like defining trauma is like and I looked up several, but I went with this one: a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope.
Yes,
It overwhelms a person's ability to cope.
right.
It can be physical, emotional, or psychological, and often impacts long term mental health.
Hmm.
And I'm throwing that up against, what did I go with the right definition?
Yes, but for like the sake of trauma, because trauma and PTSD is like a really hot topic, let me add this to that. Trauma also is going to involve actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence.
So it's a deeply distressing and disturbing experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope, and it can
Right?
be
That,
physical,
right?
emotional, or psychological, and often impacts long-term mental health. And what did you
Involve
say?
exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence. But then it gets a little bit deeper. because it
Okay.
has to be in one or more of the following ways. You got to either directly experience it, like it's happening to you. You got to witness it, like I saw Buddy over there, it happened to them. Or you have to learn that the event occurred to a close family member or friend. And this is in the case of actual threatening of death, but like it has to be violent or accidental. So, in order for it to count, if you just heard about it, it's got to be violent, it's got to be accidental, and it's got to be a close family member or friend.
Mm.
And there's one more, and I always forget it.
Well,
I think it's
I
the
saw some.
extreme
I saw
exposure.
somebody get shot right in front of me.
That's considered a trauma.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
The and then there's one more. I think it's the extreme exposure. So like police officers, firefighters, like the people who are constantly in some violence, in some chaos, they can have trauma.
Yeah, because like being in that, being in a heightened state of awareness and that a flight or fight, always you watching your back and you're afraid
That's
all the time. That's tiring. That's so stressful.
mm-hmm.
I've experienced that. That was that was yeah, that was a bad time. It was like and I'm gonna share my own personal
Go for it.
um story. Like there was a period of time where man, we just had a brash of break-ins, man. People were breaking in the house all the time. Um and that was a stressful period of time. Like every little sound, everything. It was like, man, I remember that,
Can't
man.
get
That was
comfortable. Can't get
oh my
settled.
God. Like I can feel the like this the tiredness of that period, like being that way all the time. And I was young, like going from sixth to seventh grade, something like that.
Mm,
Yeah, it was trash. Anyway, I never really thought about that as being trauma,
that's true.
but yeah, like so yeah,
Because
I
that's
can.
that perceived threat,
Mhm.
actual or perceived. That's the
Yeah,
threat.
that's what I was saying when you gave the definition. I was like, that kind of all adds up to that, to what trauma would be.
Mm,
But not just to talk about the definition, but to kind of allude to it. But because people, there are other grounds of this that I when I was doing my research came across other grounds of discussion that around trauma, like acute stress. I think I had heard that before, but read a little bit on that, and then chronic stress, which I think I kind of may have just described a little bit, like being stressed at levels of anxiety and stress for extended periods of time.
correct.
Yes, kind of similar to what you were mentioning about, veterans that were in combat,
Hmm.
people in abusive circumstances and situations. And then, sometimes just being, like you just said, being broke and trying to survive in life can be,
Hmm.
man, I think poverty is trauma.
Traumatic. Yes.
Um,
The
yeah,
actual threat of not having water,
see,
the thought that you ain't gonna have nowhere safe to stay. Like, yes, it's traumatic. And I don't think
got
that
you.
people look enough at it because ooh, I ain't got enough time. Okay. A lot of times when people think about poor people, they think about minorities. They don't think about the white people that are poor. So it is difficult
Uh,
for them to associate poverty with trauma because it's would humanize minorities.
yeah,
And so, but yes, if you look at the definition, there is a case to be made for poverty being traumatic. Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So, why everything feels like trauma today. And the more we talking about it, it may, because as I read, but as we're talking right now, I'm like, I'm looking at it a little deeper, but I feel like trauma still gets used too much.
Overused.
It's
Absolutely.
overused and called out in the wrong times for the wrong things, and it's used inappropriately. You know what I'm saying? I hate when something that's serious like that gets cheapened. I think
Mhm.
it's on borderline dangerous to do that because it's like crying wolf. Because
Yeah.
then when someone really is suffering from that or dealing with that, it gets so watered down that people's like, yeah, they don't pay attention to it or give it the due diligence that it needs. So why everything feels like trauma today? Well, of course, a common culprit is social media. Some of the trends that we have, and you know, And even Doc's profession, I think there are people who really don't belong in it that get in it. So pop psychology, people that just like self pronounced therapists or counselors, then they be promoting different type of trauma language or promoting that watered down version because it gets them views and money and so forth. I think the rise of trauma dumping is a title that that's come up, and it's the impact on different relationships. And I think that's why that and it's all of the impact on the relationships and how people function within the relationships, and everything in the relationship is now trauma or traumatic. And it's really like, man, you just broke up. Chill, like, chill out, calm down. Um, and not to be too, I don't want to be too serious, but you know,
Well, that's why in our profession we have big T trauma and little T trauma that we
yeah, we talked about
talk
that a little bit.
about. Yeah, and so little T trauma is like the breakups, the divorce, the moving out of town,
Say it
the
again.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
everything is not trauma, but it can be traumatic for people. But I
Can be.
also think that that
Mm.
goes to the
So you
resiliency
can
or
you can
lack
have a traumatic
thereof.
moment but not suffer from trauma.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think if you feel it to a 10, then that's traumatic for you, but that doesn't mean it was a trauma.
yeah, I'm letting them chew on it too, because I was like,
I'm never going to be like you can't feel it to a 10 cuz it's just a breakup. If you feel like you got to slide
well,
down the wall and ugly cry, then it's traumatic for you. But now that
no,
was
we've
not a
seen
trauma.
that Romeo and Juliet. Them
Yeah,
folks, I can't be
you don't get a
without you.
diagnosis, but it can be traumatic for you.
I have to have you.
Oh,
I don't know why.
what
I
I
don't know
don't.
why people go. They take it to the 10. Now
You
I've been
just
there
act
though.
that thing out. I mean, I
Yeah, but
think
that's
we
all
all
as far as I
have.
take.
Everybody done slid down the wall before, but that don't mean it was a trauma.
That you and your descriptive just say, everybody needs to, do their ugly cry down the wall. What?
Yeah, people, get that thing off you.
So yeah, but like resilience always comes into play. I think people just refuse to be that way. Because to be resilient means you have to go through a few things. You may have to go ahead and grit your teeth and endure the pain, but everybody wants relief and everything solved, and to be the victim all the time. Shame
I
on
think the
y'all.
victims get more attention.
Yeah, they need to stop it.
If my
'Cause-
arm bleeding and her arm bleeding, but she crying and passing out and screaming, everybody's gonna go to her first. She's gonna get the attention first. We can have the exact same cut, but because I'm not crying and I'm not, ah, they will go to her first.
That's true.
So that's why people like, you know,
Well, attention is all
attention is
these
hell of a
vices,
drug. Yeah.
all these vices, the vices. So if we if we're looking at the differences between trauma and we say the struggle, right? Just like you're not depressed, you just poor. And so that's when the acute and the chronic, stress versus the trauma would come in. Um, you have, like you discussed, life challenges like heartbreak, job loss, but I don't know, job loss. Ooh, that's a hard one, especially I think it would hit. No, let me hush if I cause another storm. Or if you have conflicts with, friends, family, strangers, whatever. Those, I would say, that, like you said, those are not traumas, but like I like to label those are opportunities to be resilient. That's a time to grow emotionally, to be able to look your emotions in the face, because they have a face, and kind of work. I'm not saying don't work through or acknowledge your emotions. Acknowledge them, but you got to be mature. You don't necessarily have to slide down the wall.
I don't think we get to tell people how to feel their feelings. If they need to slide down the wall, they got to slide down the wall.
But I mean, you just messed up my wall. I pay for
That,
that wall.
well, then that's between you and them and who gonna pay for it. Maybe they need to go slide down their own wall, but
They
we
ain't
don't
got
get to
no other
tell
wall.
people how to feel their feelings.
They not on another wall. They in other people's spaces, that what how they feel and how they express their feelings, impacts everybody around them that's living with them, shouldn't they
They
have?
need to
Shouldn't
go in
there
their
be?
room or go in the bathroom and slide down the wall. You don't get to tell people how to feel their feelings. You don't get to be like, look your feelings in the eye and suck it up and move on. No, like if somebody
I'm,
needs to cry, they need to cry.
I got it, and I'm not telling them not to cry, but we're, you know, some people they, the way. My point is just that you should be responsible, and I'm not telling you not to feel your emotions, and I'm not telling you to what degree. I'm saying the way that you express that, and
Mm-hmm.
how and how you impact others around you. If you have your own home, no one else is around you, and you want to start punching walls and knocking stuff down that you yourself will have to. I would even in that case tell them, that's not, I don't know if that's a healthy way to express your emotions. Or I would, because you may break your hand, you may hurt yourself. And in this moment of feeling that bad, I wouldn't want you to feel so bad that you make a mistake, something that you'll have to pay for long after. So it's not asking people to deny their emotions, but it, I think we want to encourage or try to teach individuals to handle their emotions better. Is that you say? Is that?
I go with that, but I don't like telling people you gotta navigate your emotions so that the people around you are comfortable because it's typically the people around you that made you feel some type of way in the first place. So I am of the belief
That's a that's a
you can't do something to me then get mad at how I come off with it.
no.
Like
I would agree with
I
that.
don't like that.
No, I agree
But
with
do
that.
people need to be mature and like handle their things and fall apart in private? Sure, I can go with that.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I can
That's
go
all
with
I'm
that.
saying. Yeah. And but I was really thinking, like, most of the time that, like, if you have a young, a young adult or a teenager, and they go through that, and then they're just so grief stricken, like, I'm gonna acknowledge that, I understand that, but don't start tearing up walls, or you know you know hurting yourself or anything like that. I'm gonna try to talk to you, and encourage you to, hey, let's face these emotions, but let's you know face them in a way where, or express them and get them out in a way that you'll come out on the other side still healthy. You hadn't scarred yourself or anyone else in this temporary moment. And so
Hmm.
it would be the only influence and coaching that I would try to impart, but not to take away the fact that they are hurting and that they are trying to work through those emotions.
I can go with that. I
All
can
right,
agree.
Doc. I think, man, Doc, you didn't really kind of ran the gauntlet, man. I'm gonna be honest. I've been nervous the last 12 minutes because I was kind of trying to have you off here. Um, but with that being said, we can kind of close out. That was really the final element that I wanted to talk about, the difference between traumas and struggles, because everything is not trauma. Everything, I was about to say everything is not traumatic, but Doc says you can't judge and tell the person what's traumatic or not traumatic to
You
them.
ain't.
But I
People
mean,
like judging your mind.
no, 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 no. I'm on the other side of
No.
that one. I'm gonna go three. We rarely go here, but I'm telling you, I can look at a circumstance and say, hey, that's not traumatic. I'm not going to give you Pandora's box all way open so you can just be. Some things are some things are just some things. You're not finna throw a cup of water in the air and say, no, it's raining. And I'm looking and I see that it's a cup of water and I see that it's not raining. It's really not raining. I'm like, listen, you're not finna, pull the Wang Dang doodle on. You're not finna run 52 fake out on me. Okay.
Not people to fake.
So I'm saying there are circumstances, situations where people will overuse the word trauma, try to act traumatized, and the circumstances was not traumatizing at all. And I would say it is okay to call those people out, to ask respectfully, not violently or any other demeaning way, but to really call them on that BS and say no, no, and no. That's all I'm saying.
So in my personal life, yes, I'm all about like, girl, calm down. But as a professional, I don't know that we get to challenge how people perceive situations. I think you get to ask them like, what about it made it so traumatic for you? Could you tell me more about what your thought process was around that? What did this trigger for you? Things like that. But I don't think you get to flat out say, this was not traumatic for you. I don't know that you can do that.
I get it. I get it. I want to understand it, but my logic will
And that's why everybody can't be
just
Latoya
okay.
therapist.
That is true. You know what? You just I don't man. I don't know. I don't know. I just I'm not finna. It's hard for me to do that. It's hard for me to play the game and just be like, okay. I I see. I know that I know that I know, but because this person wants to say no, I'm not looking at the facts. No, they're gonna function with cognitive dissonance or cognitive bias, and it's obvious. I'm like, I
Yeah, but
can't.
you challenging them and calling them out doesn't get them out of that place. Figuring out
Well,
why they're there can help you get them out of that place. But if somebody says this is
you made it
traumatic for
sound
me,
so bad.
and
You're
you say,
encouraging them and calling them out of their place. I
I
said,
mean,
no, I'm not gonna
I'm
go
just
for
telling you, I'm
because
not
usually
about
they're
to.
expecting something from you because of that, or they want some preferential treatment, or I'm unable to do a thing or process a thing because of that.
Yeah, but I
I,
think you be talking about like a very specific set of stuff that happens at work, and I ain't. That's crazy. Them people need to be rolled up and fired. I'm talking about people with real stuff going on. But anyway, we could say that for another topic.
yeah,
What's
we'll
your
do
final
that.
thoughts?
My final thoughts is that um truly we really need to think about the power that we have as individuals and collectively. So when it comes to mental health and the things like trauma, as we were talking about at this show tonight, um, you really need to, I think, evaluate yourself. We all go through things and we have to deal with them in our own ways, to Doc's point. However, I think it's important, and I just want to highlight that it is very important that we try to keep the validity of things like trauma, toxicity, and all of those other names that go along with this topic in this in that industry, to make sure we keep some sincerity to it, because watering it down is actually dangerous. You what you do is kind of take away the teeth of it so that it can be helpful to the community, and by watering it down, I think you minimize its effectiveness. And I would say, stop that. Mm.
All right, my final thoughts are make sure when you are saying, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I've experienced a trauma, blah, 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 you are not just using words that your favorite therapist said on TikTok, that you actually know the definition of the thing that you're saying, because words matter. I'm also going to encourage you to always seek out a solution. Like, what's the solution? What's going to make me feel better? What is it that I need to give myself in this situation to navigate and get through this situation? I'm also gonna say, don't let nobody invalidate your feelings. If you feel like it was traumatic, it was traumatic. Just
See,
do something else.
he had to. See,
Anyway, happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. If you are still here, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a different friend to tell a whole nother friend that Perspective is happening on Thursdays. And we will do this again next week.
all righty. Thank y'all. We see y'all next time.